As the end result of this, by the way, they didn't get what they wanted. This insurrection, failed coup, whatever you want to call it, selfie stick revolution, it ended, as you're going to see, with Biden winning.
The US Congress has formally confirmed that Joe Biden will be the next president of the United States. Presided over by Vice President Mike Pence, whom Donald Trump insisted could overturn the result. A joint session of the House of Representatives and the Senate gathered in the early hours of the morning, Washington time. This is more than 12 hours after being forced to run and hide as armed rioters stormed the US Capitol building. But leaders from both sides pressed on once the building was secure, leading to this moment a short time ago.
The whole number of electors appointed to vote for President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, a majority is 270. The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Joseph R. Biden, Jr. of the state of Delaware has received 306 votes. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 232 votes. The whole number of electors appointed to vote for Vice President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, a majority is 270. The votes for Vice President of the United States are as follows. Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 306 votes. Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana has received 232 votes. The announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected President and Vice President of the United States, each for the term beginning on the 20th day of January, 2021, and shall be entered together with the list of the votes on the journals of the Senate and the House of Representatives.
Now, although he's been banned from social media, President Donald Trump has released a statement on the electoral certification through White House Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Scavino. It says, even though I totally disagree with the outcome of the election and the facts bear me out, nevertheless, there will be an orderly transition on January 20th. I have always said we would continue our fight to ensure that only legal votes were counted. While this represents the end of the greatest first term in presidential history, it's only the beginning of our fight to make America great again. That is President Donald Trump, their statement via White House Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Scavino.
So he's basically said that if you pick up on that, he said it's the greatest, it's the end of the greatest first term. So he's literally saying there, so sorry, Mr. Ted Cruz and all of you guys who were hoping to get all these Trump followers and all the 70 million votes that he got. I'm sorry, he's just said he's running again. He's running again in 2024. He wants to, unless he's in prison for the tax case that's brewing in New York, which is a state case, which even if he gives himself a pardon and walks out with a pocket pardon ready for a rainy day, it doesn't work with a state prosecution, and he's up for tax evasion. Ivanka is up for taking money out of the inauguration fund. Which she spent on doing a house up. They really are vile, aren't they? I mean, they are just a mucky bunch of crooks. It's absolute madness, and anyone who watches the footage, it's like a bizarre black comedy. Although I don't think it's very funny for the people in the that you're going to hear about in the next video.
Can I just add something to this whole thing, though? Before I was talking about, we were talking about them calling them, the chubby army and all sorts of it. There's knobheads like that here in the UK.
Yeah, they are.
And there's plenty of them.
It just takes someone to mobilise them. I mean, at the end of the day, these people were always there in the States, and and somebody came and gave them something to get excited for, banded them together, and they made their otherwise repugnant views that they were holding very quiet and very under the table because they knew they wouldn't be regarded wisely or lovingly in polite society. They had to keep quiet to a certain degree, and Trump said, nah, be yourself. So, what?
By the way, I was thinking about our favourite politician who started all Brexit. Nigel. I wonder what he's thinking.
Well, no. Do you know what? I think even he's like, oh shit.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I do. I think this is a bit too much.
I'd love to see his next interview.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out.
Nigel Farage,
anyway,
where are you?
So let's see how this is going now as we head into the final stretch. What we hope is the final stretch of this, although we're not out of the woods yet.
Vaughn, I don't mean to sound anything but serious. Any day you have a death toll inside the U.S. Capitol is a serious and history-making day for all the wrong reasons. We have a death toll of 4 after this violence today.
Yeah, good evening, Brian. This news comes from D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser holding a press conference in just the last few minutes. With the news, we knew of the one death that took place inside the Capitol, a woman who was shot apparently by police. But now there are 3 additional deaths that the D.C. is reporting. These were 3 medical emergency deaths here on the Capitol grounds. The scene outside here in Washington, D.C. right now, here at about 11:30 at night, Brian, is one of stark silence. D.C. is past curfew that was implemented at 6 o'clock, and over the next 2 hours, law enforcement agencies, Capitol Police, D.C. Metropolitan Police, FBI, the National Guard, all came in here and systematically pushed back the folks who here had gathered, those insurgents that were inside the Capitol and those who were here on the outskirts here. To kind of give you an idea of where we are, this insurgents were essentially pushed down here. This is the start of Pennsylvania Avenue from the Capitol here. And, you know, for folks kind of getting a gist of what they saw today, you saw that scaffolding that was set up for Inauguration Day, which was overtaken by thousands. At that point, that is where Joe Biden would be slated to be inaugurated. And it's at that point that typically in a normal year that the inaugural parade stretches right down here, down Pennsylvania Avenue. And what you can see here is what you should expect to see now, at least according to the mayor, Bowser, that this is Pennsylvania Avenue. About 1 mile down the road from there, Brian, is where folks would run directly into the White House. The mayor also announced tonight that there were, we should note, just 52 arrests here in Washington, D.C. 14 of those were for crossing police lines, simple assault, some for individuals carrying firearms without license. The rest of them were for curfew related violations. Again, just 52 arrests here. And when you saw hundreds of individuals storm the U.S. Capitol, we should note the mayor also saying here in just these last 20 minutes, though, that they will, over the coming days, be putting out alerts with photographs of individuals who had entered the Capitol. They're asking the public for help, believing that those individuals who went inside the Capitol breaking federal law should be held to account. We should also note that there were at least 14 other medical emergency transports or fire transports here in Washington, D.C. You said it. It's a sad day when we're talking about deaths on the grounds of the U.S. Capitol. But again, at least 4 deaths that we're aware of at this time here on the U.S. Capitol here on this January 6th, 2021, Brian.
There were 4 deaths.
4 deaths, so it's not just the one, it's 4. Yeah. I think that's a miracle, by the way. That is a miracle with what could have happened. But it is, they've now got an army presence there, which is bizarre. They didn't have that when they were fully aware that there was going to be a march into the capital area on the 6th to demonstrate about this.
You've got to ask yourself, like I said before, there is a story there. Another story, has someone tipped somebody off? So who would maybe be able to interfere behind the scenes and make sure there weren't enough people around the capital area? I wonder. We've said many times here, and we've been lambasted by Tom in Alaska going on. We've mentioned the police training, the police corruption, which is clear. It's absolutely clear. I mean, I said before, New York had, a certain funder had lots of money put in by Trump, so they react in a certain way. The police in America, not all states, not all policemen, that's for sure. But it talks about training them and training them to a standard.
Yeah, there's some bad.
It's a big country.
Yeah, there's some very, very, very bad cops, very corrupt cops. Yeah. There's some really great ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they do need weeding out. And as a follow-on to this, as we were coming on air, Nancy Pelosi, as Speaker of the House, has said the 25th Amendment, and if anyone doesn't know what that is the provision for if suddenly you have a leader who's incapacitated, well, not just nuts, he might be mentally incapacitated, he might have a stroke, he might not be able to do the job properly, but wants to carry on, and it's not in the best interest of the country. The Vice President can meet with the Cabinet and they can decide to invoke Article 25, that's the 25th Amendment, and then it's got to be agreed to remove him by 2/3 of the House of Representatives and the Senate. And so it's quite a high bar threshold that. Now, they're also talking about, she's saying, Nancy Pelosi, the head of the Democrats, who's also the Speaker, and who's been re-elected Speaker again, even though she's older than Mum Ra and really needs mummifying. She has said, if you don't invoke the 25th Amendment, then we will impeach him. Is she serious? It's going to play out over the next couple of days. Yeah. There are a lot of people very nervous. There's only 13 days to go. But with him, 13 days is a very long time. Thank you for watching. I'm impressed. You've passed the IQ test and got this far, so let's press that button to do the last thing that helps us. It's got subscribe on it, you can't miss it, and please ring the bell for notifications of future videos.